Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming to the understanding of the academic roadmap for your 10th grader. I'm Kate Licata, and Stefania Bopp and I are the networking chairs for the 10th grade. And today with us, we have the guidance counselors, Cynthia Rivera and Nick Willett, who are going to share a lot of wisdom with us. Thank you for coming. And we'll get started. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for coming today. Nick and I are going to go over things briefly for, 15 minutes or so, talk about a few things, and really have this much more of a dialogue back and forth, or where your questions are and what things you would like to know more about as we go through this. So we'll just take it as we go with all of this. So this year is more of, I consider it the year before the storm. That this is still a time when your kids are still kids and they're still growing up and they're still finding themselves. And our role in the next, look at this. Wow. Okay. Wow. Very calmly and slowly. So our role in this year is really about getting them to move forward from being this kid just in the present and starting to look forward at next steps. They're still really young. They're really immature in so many ways, but we know they're also worried, and we know you're worried about next steps because junior and senior year do ramp up at such a level, and it does feel like there's got to be a way that you can get started now. So we're going to explain a lot about what we're doing right now, and also about what kinds of things and programs you need to be aware of that are coming forward. So we're getting you ready for junior and senior year as well. So this year, we do get started on these things, and this is what we're going to be going over a little bit. We do have, I don't know what's coming, a number of programs, parent programs this year, and we wanted you to be very aware of them because we start at the program level where junior year, senior year become much more one-on-one and individual or family to counselor oriented. So this year, things to know about coming up in February, we have someone from Summit coming to talk, and what they talk about is the difference between SAT and ACT and how to choose testing plan for your child as they move into junior and senior year. So that'll be an important thing. He really outlines that very well and gives you a lot of background. It's a really good session. In April, we'll have a college admissions panel. We'll have different reps from a variety of colleges come and speak to you and the kids in the evening around what to expect in admissions from their point of view. So that'll give you some ideas there. And then in May, we have a parent coffee similar to this, where we talk about the more detail around junior and senior year and what to expect around a plan. So we do have quite a bit coming up, and I just wanted you to be aware of that. So so while this is all coming up, I also wanted to just do a quick review around things to know and things to be aware of. I'm pretty sure you know about what they need to have for graduation, but that is certainly something we're tracking, we're moving them towards this. That they do need 4 years of English, 3 credits in social studies, 3 credits in math, 2 credits at least in science, and a variety of electives and PE and health. Now, colleges, depending on the level of the college, will be asking for 4 years in most of the core subject areas. So we generally advise kids around this. By senior year, they may have walked away from some subject area, but we'll ask them to double up in another subject area. So they're always handling 5 core subjects every year, and that's important. And that will be important all the way through as we go. So even though our credits towards graduation are a little bit less than that, the distribution, we start talking to them about what it should look like for them to move on to the colleges that they're thinking about, or the goals they have moving forward. So it's different for every student, so I can't say this is blanketly true across the board. Really depends on the level of the student and where they're headed. So, but basically, we're keeping in mind what they need to graduate, and then we're keeping in mind what they want moving forward. A lot of times we're finding in junior and senior year, kids are doubling up in a subject area and not dropping anything. And so now they're taking 6 core subjects. That is not necessary in a lot of cases. And for some kids, it's good because that's where they are and it's easy for them. But for most kids, it's too much. And so another thing we really have to think carefully about. And so when we get into course selection second semester, we do talk to kids about junior and senior year and what that should look like. So we are advising them on that. But in the last couple of years, I'd say, a lot of kids have been picking up that 6th core academic course. And we ask colleges about it all the time, and they'll go, that's crazy. We don't expect that. So just know that. Here's, again, our required course load, same thing. For freshman and sophomore year, 6 courses, the 5 core classes, lab, PE, and health, and usually an elective each semester. By 11th grade, we're only, kids are usually choosing the 5 cores and maybe 1 extra course one semester, usually an elective. Sometimes they're picking up that extra civics or AP class. That's where we really want to talk whether they want that 6th course or not, because in essence, with the lab, PE, and health, that really fills their schedule up quite a bit. And by senior year, kids are generally taking 5 courses, the 5 core subject areas. Again, they've fulfilled their electives. That's not true for our musicians and our artists and things, that they tend to still have the 5 core classes plus the arts. But for a lot of kids, they're down to the 5 cores, and as long as they're taking a science, the 5 cores. So because we do count that lab as an extra piece in their schedule. So that's sort of the basis. A lot of kids do more than that, but again, it's something we advise along the way. So, grade point average. After this, up until this year, for freshman and sophomore year, kids have a transcript, but there's not much on it. It's just freshman year at this point for you. And so they have a comprehensive GPA and an academic GPA. That is only, you're not seeing that on report cards. All you're seeing is your GPA for the quarter. So just know that the GPA that's being calculated is semester grades, which includes the semester exams, which add to change their GPA from what you're seeing on their quarter GPA. So what's on the transcript for freshmen and sophomores, and they will get this at the end of the year, will be an academic and a comprehensive GPA. Comprehensive includes all electives. Academic is all the core subjects plus all AP classes or college classes. So if they're taking AP computer science, even though that is not considered one of the cores, we do give it an academic weighting as well. Finally, and then at the end of sophomore year, and we will send this home over the summer once they become available, they'll have a transcript with 2 years and their first 2 years, 4 GPAs. So they get the comprehensive and academic GPA, then they get an honors GPA that has a weighting on it based on their honors courses and AP courses. Confusing, I know. Here, I'll show you what this looks like as an example. So a student taking the unweighted will be just their raw score based on the grades they've gotten and the GPA based on that. So this is a student, B+ student doing pretty well. Then we put the weighting on it for any honors or AP classes. It's a multiplier of 1.075 per semester course that has an honors or an AP weighting. So that will add an additional point value to it. So for this student, you don't see a wide range from an 89 to a 92. That says to me probably in freshman and sophomore year, they might have taken 1 or 2 honors classes. They may not have taken many honors classes at this point. If the student was someone who took for a full load of honors and AP classes, you would see a much wider range. It might be a 4 or 5 point difference from the unweighted to the weighted average. So it does become pretty significant. And we report the academic weighted GPA to colleges. I mean, colleges will see all 4 GPAs on the transcript, but what we use and report on any of our statistics and what we're looking at is in terms of trends and stuff is that academic weighted GPA for our students. Okay, is that totally confusing?
So explain again, comprehensive weighted as opposed to academic weighted? I think you said academic weighted was all core and AP courses?
No, right, the core, 5 core subjects and all AP and honors classes. If it's an AP.
Right.
So
And
comprehensive would include, it's generally the same thing. Comprehensive is all courses. So it includes the electives as well. So, but most of the electives aren't weighted, so that's changing the GPA a little bit. Yeah, the question was, are honors and AP given the same weight? Yes, they're given the same weight. Okay? All right. So most colleges, well, no, I'll take that back. Colleges do what they want with these GPAs. They all do something different. Some will take our comprehensive weighted, some will take our academic weighted, some will unweight and give their own weighting to APs and honors classes. They'll take the unweighted GPA and then add their own point value so that it's similar to all high schools across the country, so that they'll give the same point value. So you'll see that a lot as you're starting to look at things. Okay. I'm sorry. 1.075. Right. So how many honors, how many APs? This is always a big question. And for me, it's always whatever the balance is. If they're taking honors classes and getting low grades, they're defeating the purpose. Colleges will look at that C, whether it's an honors class or an AP class, and say, you're getting a C. You're obviously not the right place for you. So it's important that they are taking the appropriate amount for them. And that's the hard thing to always decide, but that's what we're always talking about. No child should be in 4 or 5 classes across the board at that level if they can't do it with relative ease, maintaining that 2 to 3 hours of homework every night on average that we're recommending, and still having a life. If they're coming home and doing homework till midnight every night, or are very stressed about it, or things are falling off the plate for them, then it's probably not a good fit for them, and we have to adjust what we're doing. So it's very important to always look at the child you have and what's appropriate for them, because we want them to be able to get to college. So that's important. So they're very personal decisions. They're very individualized. And as I say, we do talk about it with kids when we start to do the course selection in the second half of the year. The recommendations that teachers make around that are very important to consider, and not just assume that they don't know your child. They do know your child. They're making those recommendations by mid-year. And again, we're looking at what's appropriate for your child moving forward. AP testing is at the end of the year. If your child is in AP World at this point, you probably would have just signed up and paid for an AP test. They've changed that this year, which has made us all a little anxious about paying for a test when you just got into a class that you're not sure about. But the kids should be doing that. And they should be getting, a lot of colleges will give them college credit for the AP classes that they're taking. I was just earlier this week down in Georgia. I just got back last night. Maybe that's why I feel a little shaky today. But I was looking at Emory and Georgia Tech, and they do admissions very differently, and they look at the scores in a very different way. But the kids in both schools, the AP testing allowed, the AP exam scores allowed for some to start well advanced into their major. Some were able to take fewer courses, or they're able to do study abroad because they've gotten some courses under their belt in their major. So it was something of significant value in both of those colleges for those students to have AP credits. So taking the exam is a good thing at the end because we hope that they can get some credit for all of those things. We also have UConn courses where kids will get UConn credit for the courses they take, and that's seen very similarly by a lot of colleges to give college credit for some of those. So you'll see that in junior and senior year where they're taking, mostly senior year, UConn courses in statistics, in the 5th year of French, in what else do we have? We have anatomy and physiology. You're getting some college credit for those things. So you'll see that coming forward. I'm sorry? World languages, you see it quite a bit. So. No, it's on this campus. The teachers are qualified as adjunct professors, so they have to go through their own qualifications to teach the class, but they're teaching the UConn course here. Okay. And again, as I mentioned, rigor versus balance is the really important piece of this. I think we'll move on to what's happening this year in terms of some of the things that were going on, and then we'll come back to some other things.
All right, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Yeah, lively group here. So real quickly, I received this telegram in the hallway on the way down here from Mrs. Carroll. Does anybody know Sue Carroll in the College and Career Center? Yeah, so if I could share, the best information to take away today is become friends with Sue Carroll because she has a wealth of knowledge. Yep. Oh, yeah, you're okay. She has a wealth of knowledge that she shares on a daily basis through Facebook and through Twitter. So, so keep that in mind. You can actually look her up on Twitter. It's New Canaan High School College and Career Center. And then also on Facebook, it's the same thing. So look her up, become friends with her, and you'll become smarter. All right, so I'm going to talk to you about Naviance and what that looks like going through the next, I guess, 2 years or 2.5 years with your student. Who here has older kids? Okay, so some of you are probably a little bit familiar with Naviance, but I thought I'd just refresh you of what Naviance actually is. So it's a web-based school counseling resource that we use. And it's actually, go to this, and it's actually used by many schools throughout the United States. I'd say like 95% of schools use this program. It's also very secure and it's private, and it's also linked to the school counseling office. So the program is a wonderful program, and your kids are starting to learn more and more as they go through each year of, of high school. So I'm going to start with their freshman year, and their freshman year, they actually did the learning styles inventory. So I'd like to just know, like looking out into the audience, did any of your kids share the learning styles with you? I'm seeing a lot of no's, a lot of yeses. So well, it's a really nice resource. And if they haven't shared it with you, then go home today and ask them to share this with you. So the Learning Styles Inventory actually goes through and it teaches them of what their best learning style is. So I put an example up here on the screen for you of just a random person. I think this person's William Tester. We made it up. And he took the actual assessment, and he learned a little bit about what his best learning style is. So as you can see up there, just as reference, William likes more quiet atmosphere, likes more high teacher motivation. So it's a really good resource for your kids to kind of understand how they best learn, whether that's auditory, visual, or kinesthetic. So let's move on to this year as a sophomore. So we're going to be meeting with all the sophomores in late spring of next year. And we're actually going to be doing the next assessment, which is the Do What You Are. So the Do What You Are is the mini Myers-Briggs assessment. So is anybody familiar with the Myers-Briggs? A lot of you are, okay. So the nice thing about this is that the Myers-Briggs is an assessment that's generally taken out in the real world, and it costs $3,000 to $5,000, right? It's a very expensive assessment, and your kids actually get to take that assessment for free through Naviance. So it's a very nice tool that's going to help link some college and career fields of study for them. So, but before so what we do is we go through 2 sessions with them. And in the first session, we like to get the students more engaged. And so we like for them to think, who am I as a person? What are my strengths? What might I want to do in the future? And what that means for my future goals. So once they've taken this assessment, it will spit out a personality profile for them. So I've again put another example up there for you, and this just happens to be William Tester again, and his personality type is an ESFJ. So I won't go into all of them, but it really kind of gives them insight whether they're more extrovert, more introvert, and what that looks like for them. It also will talk about what their college and career satisfiers are. So what satisfies them as a person, and what should they look for when they start to look for different colleges through our research process. And then the nice thing too is it will actually spit out a report, and it will give them different ideas of careers that they may have some interest in based on their personality. Now we have to remember it's a computer-based program, so it's not always going to be 100% accurate, but it's a really good starting point for the kids to kind of learn about what careers might fit with their personality. Then we're going to go into our second session, and we're going to let them go through Naviance and do a actual college search. So they can go in and they can do a lot of research in the second session of their sophomore year, and go in and look at the different sizes of colleges, what the different avenues are with whatever route they want to take with sports, and to give them an idea. And then we also have them actually go in and do college searches and add them to their Naviance account. Okay, so this is just kind of a first initial add, so they can start researching, putting schools on there, and that'll get refined over time. But more importantly, we want our students to become as familiar with Naviance as they can, because it is one of the most important tools for the college process. So again, they may not be 100% knowledgeable at this point, but they will be more knowledgeable by the time they get done with this year. So then we move into our junior year, and we consider our junior year more of the research stage for the kids, okay? So a lot of you may be visiting colleges during summer into the junior year. They may be visiting colleges during their junior year, and they'll use Naviance to continue to put those colleges in. We also, as counselors, will be meeting in connections first quarter of their junior year to talk to them about the college process, what that means, and encourage them, again, to go in and try to put as many schools as they can, because then when we get to the spring of their junior year, we're going to have a junior parent meeting with all of you and your kids, and the counselor is going to sit down and talk about testing plans. What kind of colleges are they looking for, depending on size of college, depending on, location, all those questions and answers, will happen during that meeting. So that will also happen during that time frame. And then what will happen is after that meeting, your counselor, after they, have all this knowledge from that meeting, they will start adding recommendations into the Naviance system of different schools that your kids may have interest in, okay? And some of it's just a talking point, based on discussions that we've had with your kids or had with you as a parent. And they don't 100% have to apply there, but it's just a starting point for them to look at some different schools that they may not have thought about through their research. So then we get to their senior year, and we consider that really basically the applying stage. So when they get back their beginning of their senior year, they'll continue to update and finalize their college lists in Naviance. They'll also be applying to colleges during that time frame and finalizing any of their testing. And then also through Naviance, which is very important, their senior year is that they will actually go in and start asking for teacher recommendations through the Naviance program. And they'll invite a teacher as a recommender, and then what will happen is the teacher will be able to see when their deadlines are for each of their colleges. Now, I've gone through a lot of this very quickly because this is just kind of a brief to get you understanding what's happening. But as you go along, we will explain more of what these programs are and what's entailed with these programs. And then we'd like to answer some of your questions that you have too. So.
And I really think of this year as, in terms of their activities as well, of starting to find their interests. You know, that they may have a lot of activities, and we start to ask them, think about which ones are important to you, which ones are the ones you're going to follow for 4 years, which ones are you going to drop, because we don't want them to continue having a million activities. It's time for them, as they move into junior and senior year, who am I, how do I align my interests with my activities and with my courses that I'm taking. It should all start to align to some degree, especially if they're applying to those competitive schools, that they're looking at doing those kinds of things. The college process, in terms of looking at colleges, as Nick said, it's really much more of a junior year process, but if some kid, and most kids, if you do want to look at some colleges this year, it's early, they're really young for doing that just yet. And so, but if you happen to be in a city somewhere or traveling somewhere and there is a college, it's a great time for them to start to see what a college campus looks like without really doing anything more than that. You know, you don't want to particularly say, well, where will my kid get in? It's way too early to know that. It's just look at a large campus, look at a small campus, look at a city campus. What does that look like? So you get some sense of that. Not necessary at all. It's really early, but if you have a kid who really wants to get going on that and wants to understand that it's okay to do in sophomore year, you can go on some of these tours that are out there. Some kids are doing it, but not based on where they're actually going to end up going. So.
And I was just going to mention too, like what I say to my students, we have so many colleges around in this area. It might not be a college that you're interested in, but local colleges that you can just go look at just to kind of give them an idea, of what maybe they might be interested in.
I mean, Fairfield U is a great one for that. Quinnipiac's a great one. UConn, going to NYU, Fordham to see city schools. So those kinds of things can get you started without making big plans, and just to give them an idea. But I'm only saying that as a totally if the kids are ready. It's really not something you really have to do at this point.
And just know they all want to go to California first, right? Then you start to realize it's far.
Yes, I know. I tried that with my own kids sophomore year. Oh yeah, I know exactly. My daughter, who has done all the traveling with her older brother, knew exactly where she wanted to go in 8th grade, and so was so sure of it that that's the only school she wanted to look at. And by senior year, it was so off the list. It just was nothing that she had any interest in going to. So way too early for her. So no goes by experience.
And I was just going to mention too, that's the fun part of this process, is it is a process, right? So it's a considerable amount of time before they actually start to apply. And where you start is very different sometimes than where you end up. And I'm sure I see people shaking their heads at families that have already gone through this process. And, and you're not in this alone, right? So, you have us as counselors that do this day in and day out. So use us for the knowledge, because, I love when my kids come in and they always say to me, I don't want to bother you, Mr. Willett. I'm like, you're not bothering me. I can answer something very quickly that, you can't answer because you haven't done this thousands of times, right? So.
And a third. Okay, questions.
How do you get into Naviance? Do you create an account? Is there a subscription? What do you recommend for a sophomore to do at this point at home, or is it done at school? I'm confused about
So
getting
all
starting up
sophomores
with
have
Naviance.
an account. They have an account.
They already have an
They
account?
do,
They
yeah.
do.
So
that's
they know
how-
that they have it?
They do. So, no, but that's a great question. They would know they have an account, or they don't, I don't, but they've done the learning styles inventory, and they're gonna be doing the Do What You Are. So they already have an account. Each kid gets an account when they first come up here as a freshman. I believe they used to get an account down at middle school or something, right?
Yeah, I'm not now.
But they don't do that anymore. So, so it's probably best to go home and ask, your kid for their username and their password, because that's really where you're going to get the most knowledge from Naviance. And I'm just looking at, I don't know if you have kids, if anybody would like to share, but I think that's probably the best way, because you're eventually going to start getting on, and we're getting ahead of ourselves, but you're going to eventually start looking at those grams, scatter plots, all that fun stuff. And the best is to go through your own kids' account.
What should a sophomore be doing with Naviance at this point in time?
Nothing.
Nothing? Okay.
No, I mean, we're going to go back in the spring, in April and May, and put them back on and get them to really look at all the tools that are available to them at that point. So they'll see a college search, they'll see how to look at different colleges and what the GPAs are, they'll see how they stand with GPA. They'll have a GPA, more of a GPA by then to use. Right now, with the freshman GPA, it's pretty hard for them to know what to do with that.
Do you go over the Myers-Briggs profile with each student? And have they done that already?
They haven't done that yet, so they'll do that in April of this coming spring. And so we don't go individually. What they do is they go into the history classes, and we sit down and we go through a PowerPoint presentation with them. We talk about what their reports mean, and then we have them read their full report to give them an idea. But we also tell them, too, they can always follow up with their counselor if they have questions regarding that. But I think what happens a lot of times, too, with our students is they don't ever share with you guys that they've taken these. And so it's important for you to know that they are taking those, because it is such a wealth of knowledge for you to have. The other thing is a lot of times students, they forget their passwords. So please know that you as counselors can always reset their passwords very quickly and give you that information. So,
Or they can reset their own
Or they
password
can
as
reset.
well.
So when you said be what you are, is that the same as the Myers-Briggs?
It is.
Yeah, it's the same
Okay.
thing.
So it's an
Okay.
adolescent version of the Myers-Briggs.
Okay.
Hi, so the only way that we have access to that is through our kids?
Yeah, Naviance took parent access away a few years ago, where they let you get on and see such minimal information, it was useless to us. And we have complained loudly about that, but to no avail. So it will be important to go on with your child, to partner with them. And it's good to partner with them so that you're both talking the same, about the same things.
We can simply just sign on with their login and password if we want to.
You can sign on if you have their logon and password. We don't have their password, so we
It's
can't
not
do it.
working, just, but I have get in, but now it's not taking our password, so
Probably not on your phone.
I'm resetting it, okay. Maybe
So,
that'll- wow.
because they need to be in Chrome and,
Okay.
you need to be in certain.
That's good to know, thank you.
When you go onto Naviance and you're looking at the scatter plots, should you be using your child's academic weighted GPA?
They don't have one just yet, so we can't, but,
Yeah.
But if I were to calculate it, that's what you would use, because I could, okay.
Well, you would use that, be careful with that, because you could use that as a tool, but you're also going to be using eventually your SAT or your ACT
Right.
scores.
But because that's where, like, if they're in a lot of honors classes, the GPA can be it's heavily weighted, but that's the GPA, what everyone is, okay.
exactly. That's the GPA you're seeing in Naviance, is an academic weighted GPA. For those who don't know Naviance too well, the scattergrams is recording information of students who applied to those schools from New Canaan in the last 3 years. So you are seeing the average, the mean scores for kids from New Canaan. So it's usually quite different from when you're on a college tours, what they're saying their GPA is. They all want 4.0 averages, whereas you can see from New kids, oh, a kid with an 85 or an 88 average did get into that school. So it's a great tool ultimately. Right now, you don't have too much information about where your own child fits in, but they can go on and start looking at some of that. And it's really great for the kids at the end of the year for them to start doing this independently a little bit and getting on and seeing, oh, I've always thought I wanted to go to Bucknell. Oh, I don't think I'm going to Bucknell, when they see where they are compared to some of the averages that are in there. So.
I have a question a little bit about sort of the academic requirements of the high school versus colleges. So in science, if your child takes, biology, chemistry, physics, by senior year, is it necessary to take a science? I mean, for selective versus highly selective, sort of what is the need for the fourth year of science? Depends. Can you expand on that a little bit?
I mean, it depends on, all colleges have so many different requirements, and some, the higher, colleges are going to want to see 4 years of science, or
In most cases.
In most cases. But there's other colleges that literally will say, all we care about is 2, and we're fine with that. So it's really, once you kind of have a set, group of schools, you'll have a better understanding, but we pretty much want them to take 4 years. But most colleges are looking mainly for biology and chemistry. That's what they're
So if you have a child who's a writer and really looking forward to world languages or looking something so not science oriented, the need for 4 years of science may be slightly less. And they'll be fine with your child taking electives in science senior year. For the child who's interested in being pre-med or engineering or something like that, you better be taking a science in senior year. And that's very important. So it just really depends. That's why I say depends. So sciences show academic strength no matter what they're interested in. It's all, every college knows that tends to be the hardest area, and so the more competitive colleges generally are looking for sciences.
Does the system take into account the specialty colleges? Because there's so many more now that are becoming more and more prominent. Like you have large universities that have the colleges within them, and then you have like the NASCAG, the liberal arts focus schools, where people go to find themselves, so to speak. But then you have a lot of more and more business schools and smaller focus schools that are becoming more prominent. Does it take into account some of that difference, or not yet?
Well, I'm not sure the question.
Like a Babson or a Bentley, like those schools are very specific. You don't go to those schools to study history.
Right.
You go to those schools to study business because you want to be an undergraduate business.
Right.
So
Right.
does it take those sorts of things into consideration?
Who takes that into consideration?
Like when
Naviance?
Naviance, or just the information that's is it able to?
The information is GPA, SAT scores.
So it's just-
So the extra, the added kinds of interests in colleges and different businesses, business schools within colleges, that's more an advising thing that we do with the kids, and advising them where to look, and what their schedule should look like based on those colleges. And that certainly is true in junior year as you're selecting you're looking at colleges, your child is thinking about what they want to do. Now you're selecting your senior year courses based on maybe a lot of those interests that are coming forward and tailoring it that way.
Yeah, I don't know how to phrase this, but I have heard that colleges, there's like a ratio. So when you were mentioning that on Naviance, that the weighted GPA that you're going to see is for New Canaan, I've heard that colleges have a ratio of like they'll take so many students from that district. Is that true? Is it? Yeah.
Out of both sides of their mouths, colleges where they'll say no, because and we found that. Some years they'll take 6 kids from us, and the next year take 1. So they'll say no if we had 50 kids applying and they're all appropriate for that school, they'll take them all. Generally speaking, that's never true, that all 50 applying are actually appropriate for that. We don't have that many kids at that level. But, so it's a real big one on us, is to know exactly what that is. They are able to see
we have what's called school profile, all the courses we offer, all the APs that we offer, the average GPAs for that grade. We do sort of a bar chart, just so they see where the kids fall in relation, even though we don't rank, they'll see where that child falls within sort of a bell curve as to where they fall within the class. So they take all of that into account. You can see our school profile on our website if you're looking for what does that all mean, because that's what we send to all colleges, that gives them a sense. So they may be looking for, we only want kids who may fall in the top 5% of the class, and they can look from that bar chart very big, get a sense of where that child falls in the class. That may be an issue.
So there's no algorithm limiting, you know, if we just happen to have a lot of very talented kids that they get limited because they're all from the same area.
I've never heard that would happen.
I hear it a lot, right?
Well, I hear it
it's
from you
hearsay.
all. I don't hear it from
Yeah, no, it's hearsay. That's
No,
what I'm
okay.
saying. And I only have one child who, you know, hasn't gone this route yet, so, okay, good to know.
Yeah. Let's go on this side.
Naviance is international or national?
I'm sorry?
It is national or international?
They have some international schools. It's only for the list schools that our children have applied to. We have, I think, at least 5 applicants in the last 3 years. We wouldn't post statistics for less than that. It then becomes a privacy issue for putting that on there. So there are some, not many.
But the information that you put in Naviance, it works for international schools?
It does. Yes. Way over?
Can you speak more about the letters of recommendation? When does that start? And are they only teachers?
And again, as you go along, we'll get more detailed in this as you go along, but letters of recommendation, you generally are going to want 2 letters, and they generally are academic teachers. We will talk from junior, what we generally do is, we'll talk about that in our junior parent meeting, and we'll kind of get an idea of maybe who the kid's thinking about asking. And then we generally will ask them to go to the teacher and, verbally say, would you write for me? And then when they come back to their senior year, they'll do it officially through the Naviance program. But here it's 2. Now, if you have a recommendation, and I don't want to get too much into this, but if you have an outside recommender, because we will only send teacher recs through the Naviance because that's a school-based program. If you have somebody out there that's an outside recommender, that's going to go through a whole different program called the Common App. But we'll talk more in detail about that at our junior parent meetings and what that all means.
Did that answer your question? Did you have one?
I just have a question about testing. Do you offer pre-PCT so that the kids as sophomores, if they took the PSAT, can get a sense of where maybe they have better aptitude or preference for testing next year?
We don't offer it as a large group here at the school, but we do. Many of the testing places in town will offer free practices. Summit does it, Kaplan, I believe, does it. Apple Group, where you can go in on a Saturday, sit in a testing situation, and it's just a practice, get a sense of how the child does with that.
And just to add on that, I encourage my students to do that. You don't have to do that, but with Summit Educational, they come and do a presentation here at our school, and it's just nice because it's a free diagnostic test. And of course, at the end of it, if you need tutoring, they're going to maybe try to sell you a little bit of tutoring, but you can literally walk away and just say, I'm just interested in that.
Do we know when the PSAT test grades will be coming out that they took a few weeks ago?
First week of December. 8?
Yeah, we thought it was late last year.
Is it okay to ask you?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. What's the difference of ACT and SAT?
Okay, that's a whole presentation.
So that's a good question, okay.
But those are the 2 different tests that all colleges accept, either
Right.
ACT or the SAT. And there are differences, not a lot, but it really is a whole presentation.
That's a very good question. And, down the road, so for my parents, I do have a nice little, I can share with all the other counselors a comparison that kind of, for me, it dummies it down because it's easy to read and it's actually nice to compare that way. So I like it. I send it to my parents and they love it. So, yeah.
We'll put that up on the website for everybody to see. So.
I don't know if you already went over this, but could you explain subject tests?
Oh, yeah.
And what courses are eligible for subject tests and how if they're sent to colleges and what weight they hold?
Okay, so the question was on subject tests. So if your child this year, and last year when they perhaps were in honors bio, and this year maybe in AP World or an honors science class, or completing either Algebra 2 or pre-calc, then they may want to sit for a subject test. A subject test is a 1-hour test put on by College Board, by the SAT people. There are about 5 colleges that still require them. There may be 15 or 20 that recommend them. So it's becoming less and less important all the time to even have them, but there are very few, so very select schools that still ask for that. So as they're finishing up a course like World History or Algebra 2, it's based on an Algebra 2 curriculum, so you can sit for the subject test at the end of it. Really not necessary to prepare for it because they're in the class that whole time. And with the kids interested in science, those honor sciences or AP science, it's a good time to sit for the subject test at the end of it because each subject is so different. You're in biology, you're not coming back to biology until maybe the senior year. If you're in AP biology, good test that for that. Chemistry, if you're not moving on to AP chemistry, the subject test, take it now as you're finishing up, or in June as you're finishing up the subject test then. So those are some things that sophomores can be doing this year. But again, very few colleges require them anymore, so if your child is not doing particularly well or you don't feel they're particularly ready to be taking those tests, that's okay. They will have time in junior year if they need to do that. So
How do you find out about them?
Yeah, when are the signups for them?
the June SATs are generally in late April. To sign up for those, it would be the deadline, so you can do it anytime before that. And it's important to probably, they usually hear from it from their teachers in the sciences. And in the AP world, they'll hear from the teachers around signing up for that. But I know with the bio, they feel that their curriculum does not align well with the subject test any longer. So, and College Board is virtually ignoring them. They're so old at this point that they're not even updating them. So that's why more and more colleges are not using them at all. So.
What are the, you said there were 5 colleges that take them. Do you know?
No,
I was just like a few of them. Okay.
Yeah, they're usually the high end. It's only if you're going to be an engineer or business major or something like that that might require those subject areas.
How does the scale of up to 100 for percentage for your GPA translate to the numeric up to 4, whatever it is?
Right. Which reminds me, I'm going to ask one of our ladies, our PFA ladies here, to go make some more copies because there's way more kids than parents here, their kids than I predicted. So I have a conversion scale here, which will show you the 1 to 100, how that, one of you maybe go ask them in the office to make extra copies. There are 30 copies out there, but that's, they don't like them. So basically, it's, every college will understand our scale, even though they'll say, what are you on a 4.0 scale? There is in the application say we're on a 100 scale, and so you can put in the number. Colleges have different conversions. This is one of many that I'm showing you, is the most traditional I've seen, but they might have an 80 to an 89 is the 3.0, whereas traditionally an 85 is the 3.0. 95 is a 4.0, and 86 is a 3.1, and 87 is a 3.2. You see how that works? It's a tenth of a point all the way up. 75 is a 2.0. So that's generally how it goes with the tenth of a point as you go up the scale there. But we'll have those out for you so you can have those.
Is that done on a per class basis, or is it just done on the overall GPA? So if you have a 97 GPA, it is a 3-point.
GPA is a grade point average of all years.
Okay, so it's not like you, okay, got it.
Nope.
And that's comprehensive?
I'm sorry?
And all years is comprehensive?
Comprehensive.
Yeah, what Cindy showed earlier, that's the comprehensive academic weighted, that's freshman to junior or senior, whatever that might be.
So usually through, colleges are looking through junior year. They don't generally see your senior year grades. The semester ends in February, that something will be ready February of their senior year. Most colleges are making decisions before that. So they mostly look through junior year grades.
And on your transcript, you will have a yearly GPA too, so they're going to look at that.
Okay?
All right, well, we will be around if you have any questions. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.